a game, 50% from the field. You see that three-point percentage, roughly 8 boards, and leads the league, as we know, almost 11 assists a game. Here's what his running mate, Anthony Davis, had to say about LeBron's case for league MVP.
The things he's able to do on the floor, especially when everybody was saying, he was washed and he should hang it up and all these things. He come back with a dominant performance, and then just to be even in the race, at this age, and this point of his career, and for me to see it every night, and the things he do on a consistent basis, not in stretches, 3 games here, 4 games here, but he does it every night. And he's been doing it his whole career. I think it's a good argument for him to be MVP.
Year 17, he's probably owed a couple or he got missed out on. But he arguably the best player in the world for the last 15, 17 years that he's been in the league. So this year, obviously, we're top team in the West because of him and AD. Obviously, a lot of people kind of counted him out and thought he was not washed up, but didn't think he was at a level where he was before. And it seems like he hasn't lost many steps at all, not even half a step.
He impacts winning more than anybody in the league. His IQ, he's the quarterback of both the offense and the defense for us. It's probably if you're going to choose one argument, when you have Tom Brady running the show offensively and Mike Singletary barking out calls on the defensive end, you're a dominant team.
All right, Joey, I know who we're rolling with, and we pretty much know who you're rolling with when it comes to the league MVP, but tell us why LeBron James.
Well, it's probably because, first and foremost, LeBron James is the best passer in the world right now. Most assists, not only this season, but by a Laker since a guy named Magic Johnson. The guy is a one-of-a-kind, once-in-a-generation passer. And, oh, by the way, he's also a physically dominant scorer who can shoot 35-foot three-pointers. He is the most complete player in the game by far. He's the best leader in sports, in my opinion, if you're accounting for the off-the-court contributions of a LeBron James. But, man, the guy can do nothing. He has no hole, or he can do nothing wrong. He has no holes in his game, and I think we will see that come playoff time, regardless of if he has that MVP trophy or not.
Oh, and by the way, it's all happening in year 17 at the age of 35. No big deal. Brez, obviously the Lakers are here to win another title. Team success, though, the ultimate for LeBron. You cannot tell me, though, he wouldn't love to add another MVP title to his legacy, right?
There's no doubt about it. I'm still kind of tripping over Frank Vogel's reference to Mike Singletary, the Bears middle linebacker from the mid-'80s. I mean, impressive stuff. And LeBron really wants to add that next championship. He might say, it's important we play as a team and do the right thing. And no. He's here to win a championship. He is in his second year at the Lakers, as we all know. Year 1 did not go very well. 37 wins. That's not the LeBron James way to play. So obviously he wants to add another trophy to that collection and restore the Lakers to the greatness that they are so accustomed to, not just year after year, but decade after decade after decade.
Raz, I'm going to stay with you for just a moment, but then Joey, after him, please jump in on this, because some people would say that Giannis is the front runner, and I'm positioning this to you first, Brez, because I know how much you love Milwaukee. When you're not talking about the Lakers, you're a big Bucks guy. Are you buying that? Giannis the front runner?
I can see why people say that. I mean, the Bucks have the better record. Giannis does more things defensively than LeBron does, even though LeBron has had a very good year on that defensive end, especially compared to a year ago, where people started to ask if he was a washed king. But yeah, I mean, LeBron has done it in the West. I love what he said to the media a couple days ago. He said, come on, guys. For years, you've said, I'm in the East. I'm plundering all these teams that just aren't as good collectively as the Western Conference. And now I'm in the West. And I'll continue the metaphor. I mean, LeBron didn't say this, but they're winning the West by 5.5 games. He D'd up really strongly against Giannis when the Lakers played them the weekend before the NBA shut down. Frank Vogel said LeBron was basically the reason we won that game, and he outscored Giannis as well. I think I'm getting a little blue in the face by getting a little overheated here, kind of losing some oxygen.
I'll help you out.
I will toss it back to you because I'm very fiery about this.
You are. I feel Joey, I mean, it's no disrespect to Giannis. It's a heck of a race between these two guys.
Yeah, Giannis is an absolute freak. He is a future legend of this game. It really is a 1A and 1B situation in my head. And LeBron is just doing something that this game, and really most any game that you can think of, has never been done before. Ali, you brought up that this is his 17th season in the NBA. when has any player been this dominant in any sport in year 17? And LeBron is leading the league in assists. He has the Lakers #1 in the West. And again, he has no holes in his game. He is the most complete player in basketball. And it's just, there has been no player like LeBron James before, and that is why he gets a slight edge over a fantastic player in Giannis Antetokounmpo, in my opinion.
And it's also why we're going to continue to talk about him for this segment, because, we've got him in the race for league MVP. But to push it a little further, let's look back at the top 10 plays of the season from LeBron James. Welcome back to Access. Some of the Lakers will be wearing social justice messages on their jerseys during the league's restart. Alex Caruso with Black Lives Matter. Quinn Cook, say their names. Danny Green, how many more? JaVale McGee, respect us. Dion Waiters, Black Lives Matter. And while some players have chosen messages, Kyle Kuzma says he's not.
No, this is my last name. It's on my jersey. I just don't believe that you have to put something on the back of your jersey to make a statement. I do a lot in the city of Flint, inner city LA, a lot of social activism. So, I don't want to be, I just chose not to do it, and especially the NBA just, they're doing a great job of trying to push, that narrative out there. But, I just didn't like how it wasn't creative. If they would have allowed us to put something on the jersey that was more personal, then I would have changed it, but I didn't want to be generic and basic.
So the players have been given the opportunities, guys, to wear social justice messaging on their jerseys. Black Lives Matters displayed on the courts. Players using media sessions, as we know, to discuss social justice matters. With all of that said, Joey, this league continuing to practice what they preached. This restart is predicated on more than just basketball.
Yeah, and I think that's great both on the players and on the league itself. This is a time of social reckoning for the entire country, and I think we're seeing players take it upon themselves to send their messages in their own way, and that's kind of what Kyle Kuzma was talking about there. He's from Flint, Michigan. He does a ton of work in his hometown, and for him, wearing something on his jersey wasn't going to send the message that he wanted to. Other players feel differently, and I think that's great. I think there's nothing more American than a peaceful protest. And you're seeing a lot of that from a lot of guys who are in this restart.
Yeah, I think it's been great from the start. The NBA working with the Players Association as well as the individual players as well to come up with all these ideas of what can be done, not just on the back of the jerseys, but obviously painting Black Lives Matter on the side of these courts. And it's not always often, or I shouldn't say often, it's not always that the league and the union itself are in conjunction. I mean, there's been a couple major work stoppages in the last few decades, and that's not the case this time. They've been lockstep from the start when it was obvious that the bubble was indeed going to be a concept.
It's only been 2 weeks, and we've seen these different ways in which players have used their platforms. The league has elevated their player voices. But I'm anxious to see, guys, too. We know how many like to write things on their shoes. Will there be T-shirts? What will they do for the national anthem? Something that we just have to continue to be ready for.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Ali. I mean, it's going to be really interesting for every game. And it's not going to be right away. The scrimmages, as we covered earlier in the show, it's not going to be the regular player introductions or anthem or anything like that. But once the games start for the Lakers on July 30th, you know that the players are all going to talk amongst themselves and probably figure out another way yet to deliver on their pledge, to keep the conversation flowing. And it's not going to be shut down, even if everyone descends on the bubble for a few months to try to do, their jobs, which is to play basketball and try to do well in your jobs, obviously, to win a championship. But I'm very curious to see what the evolution of the process will be throughout their time in the bubble.
Joey, have you heard or read anything that will be on the horizon with players and their ability to speak out during this time?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about specifics, but what I do know is that this Lakers team is very active when it comes to the causes that they are passionate about. LeBron James, obviously, first and foremost, with his I Promise school and the entire program that goes around that. His recent voting initiative that he's launched with so many other people in the sports world and beyond. You have Dwight Howard donating the rest of his salary to Breathe Again, which is his charitable arm, and so on and so forth between Kyle Kuzma, again, in Flint, Michigan, JaVale McGee with his work with Jug Life in Africa. This is a very socially conscious team, and I wouldn't expect anything less than fully forward momentum from the guys on this Lakers squad.
And of course, this goes much deeper than just the current team itself here in Lakerland.